Okay. You see the title. You see the title. Knick fans, tell your team thank you and move on. I'm going to say it again. Tell your team thank you and move on. And here's why I say that. Because let me explain to you how things work right about now in New York City. Monday morning, you're gonna get a lot of people calling into the radio station, and they're gonna be talking crazy about the Knicks. They're gonna be talking about fire tips. We need to trade this one. We need to trade that one. This is how Knicks fans get down. It's with these guys, right? With New York Knicks fans, it's either all or nothing. You're going to have a lot of upset Knicks fans come Monday morning. They mad now. But what happens when you turn on the radio in New York, that's when you just hear everybody just going off. And these individuals, right, they're not even taking into account that the Knicks actually had a great season this year. They had a great season this year, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, listen. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in, 50 years? No, I'm bugging. 25 years. 25 years. The last time the Knicks made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, that was 2000. 2000. They hadn't been back since. Hadn't really been considered contenders since 2000. 2099. 99, that was a short year. Remember, guys? Remember that? That was that short year, 99, when they went to the championship against San Antonio Spurs. People was real surprised about that, especially me, because they went as the AFC, the first and probably the only AFC to ever make it to an NBA Finals. Next year, the Knicks come back and make it to the Eastern Conference Final against who? Indiana. And they got bumped that year. But since then, it's pretty much been rocky for the Knicks. So within these last couple years, things have actually got better for New York. Last year, they made it to the semi-conference, right? This year, they made it to the finals. That's progression. But the million-dollar question, ladies and gentlemen, is what comes next? What comes next? And I'm going to tell you guys what comes next. The Knicks need to get better. They need to get better at the bench. They need to get a better bench. Now, I don't know if Tibbs is going to use the bench, but they have to get better and they have to get stronger bench play. Because if we look at tonight, right? Let's look at tonight. Shamet was like the top scorer coming off the bench. 12 points. And that's good for a guy like him. That is very good for a guy like him. But until the Knicks strengthen that bench up, they're going to have problems, ladies and gentlemen. Because you just cannot expect your starters to play 82 games, go deep into the bench, and win a championship. You see what Shaquille O'Neal said, right? Shaquille O'Neal, he calls the bench and the role players, he called them guys others. And he's right about that. It's about the others. Because when you're making some type of game plan, to when an opposing team, let's say that, when an opposing team is making a game plan, the game plan is really a strategy how to stop the main players. It's not contingent on how to stop the bench players. For the most part, it's how do we stop the main players. So if you're Indiana, right? If you're the Indiana Pacers, your game plan is figuring out how to neutralize guys like Bronson. how to neutralize guys like Towns. That's the game plan right there, ladies and gentlemen. And being that that's the game plan, that gives room for other individuals to be able to step up because they're not in the game plan. But New York this year, right, from what we see, especially in this playoffs, let's stick with the playoffs. They haven't had much help coming off the bench. Just haven't. And this is the reason why they lost. Look at Obi Toppin, 18 points in the closeout game. Coming off the bench, 18 points. The Knicks' whole bench scored close to 18 points. I think they had about 20, ladies and gentlemen. 20 points coming off the bench. Obi Toppin had 18 himself. So when the Knicks go into this off season, they're going to have to figure out who they're going to bring in next year to give them some help off the bench. And I'm going to tell you guys straight up and down. Here's the real problem. It's not because the payroll, they're not going to get nobody. They're not going to get nobody that's demanding a lot of money. Knicks is already, the fourth highest paid team in the NBA? You got cap money. You got Bronson money. They just gave OG 200 million, 211, 212 million. But the real problem is it's not about who we can get to come. Just to be honest, guys, it's really about how can we develop the players that we already have here. And I'm getting sick of these NBA organizations to just chasing players. I'm getting sick of it. Stop chasing players. You got players on your bench. How do you develop these guys? And historically, the New York Knicks has never, ever developed players. They're never, all those players that's there with the Knicks right now, Knicks didn't draft not one of them. You didn't draft Bronson. You didn't draft OG. You didn't draft Towns. You didn't draft Josh Hart. You didn't draft Bridges. And when we say what's next, I'm going to tell you guys, what's next for New York is development of the players that's there. Because they don't have no money to bring a big-time free agent in. So we got to get past that. They don't have the money. And then the question is, are they willing to compromise some of the players that they have to bring in somebody like Kevin Durant? Who, by the way, Kevin Durant's not going to want to play for New York. Or Giannis. So they got to give up stuff. So that means they got to take a couple steps back. And then what's going to happen is they're going to be right back in the same shoes that they are in today. The only way the Knicks is going to get across the hump is they got to get better with their development department. They have to get better with that development department. You have to develop the guys that's there. Look what OKC did. Most of them guys at OKC, we've never heard of them. We never heard of these guys. But they obviously have a better development department. And this is something New York has been guilty of. And I'm real critical on this, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm tired of when free agency comes in, every team that has money is just running around chasing this player or that player. What about the guys that's there? What about those guys? And let me be clear. There isn't, in my opinion, a lot of good free agents this year. It just isn't. I mean, some of these guys, a lot of these guys are either restricted free agents. And if you don't know what that means, that just clearly means that if I'm restricted, and you give me an offer, and I sign that offer sheet, the team that I play with can match it. That's restricted. Kaminga, restricted. If they're not restricted, some of these guys have a player option. They have the option to opt out their contract. Who am I talking about? Julius Randolph. He can opt out. But the Knicks don't have the money to chase after players like that. And like I said, they don't have a lot of salary cap next year at all. So being that they don't have a lot of salary cap at all, they have to go and look at what they have and figure out, how do I get a guy like, what is it, Payne? He's getting like $3 million. How do I get a guy like him to help us out? How? And these guys, the way Tibbs play, these guys don't get a lot of playing time. So technically, we don't even know if these guys can help right now or not. We don't know that. But what we do know, you can't just rely on 5 guys. 6. That's basically who the Knicks is relying on for. 6 players, ladies and gentlemen. You got Hard, you got Brunson, Bridges, OG, Towns, and who's the other boy? Mitchell. 6 players. That's what the Knicks is relying on. 6 players. You got guys like Shaman in them. It was like, wow, he in the game. He played last game. But the guy got 15 minutes tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I was like, wow, they gave him 15 minutes. And they didn't do bad. He had 12 points in those 15 minutes. How did Shaman do that? I don't know, but he did, ladies and gentlemen. But moving forward, being that the Knicks is going to be one of the highest paid teams next year, they don't have the money to bring in nobody like let's say a Naj Reid, who, for the record, I think Naj Reid, next situation, he's not going to be looking to come off the bench. He's going to look for a team that's going to allow him to start. So let's scratch him off. The other kid, Schroeder. Can he help the Knicks? A little bit. But what can Schroeder do that the guys on their bench cannot do? The answer is nothing. And that's the problem with New York. They don't develop. They do not develop their players. When have we ever seen a New York Knick come in, get drafted by the Knicks, stay there, and play well? We don't see that. The best players on the Knicks right now came from other organizations. Where's RJ? Toronto. New York don't do that. New York don't develop their players. And that's the problem. Some of these guys, you have to be able to develop. You can't go with 6 guys and expect these 6 guys to win your championship. You can't do that, New York. 6 players is not, because it's not like, let's keep it real. It's not like these players are superstars. The New York Knicks don't have no superstars. All-stars? Yes. Superstars? Hell no. They don't have no superstars. You got Towns, Brunson, all-stars. Then you got the rest of these guys are role players, defensive mind role players that just pretty much bought into Tibbs' scheme of things, the way Tibbs did things. So you went with 6 guys. Josh Hart started to fall off as the playoffs progressed. So he was down to like 5 guys. And that's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. And the same thing's going to happen next year until New York start developing. And I'm sick of these organizations who don't put emphasis on developing. Because when you start running around talking about getting this guy, trading for that guy, when you start doing that, you're letting somebody off the hook. Somebody's not doing their job. And it's not just in New York, ladies and gentlemen. It's different organizations that's not developing the talent on the bench. Hell was saying, I'm going to get James Harden when I got to give this man $35 million. Whatever happened to saying, hey, we could take this guy and we could develop him. Don't have to necessarily be James Harden, but just develop him to be able to play within your system, which is not hard because the Knicks system is built on what, ladies and gentlemen? Defense. So all you need to be able to do is be a hard-nosed, defensive-minded player that can make the shots that you're supposed to make. Brunson going to take most of the shots. You got your man Cat out there. He's going to take a bunch of shots. So you just got to be able to make the shots that you're supposed to make. But if you're going with 6 players, how far are you going to get? And this was what happened, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happened. Now, all of a sudden, when it get funky and the media start to dog Tibbs about his lineup, all of a sudden, he wants to expand how many people play. And guys is like, damn, I ain't play all year. Now you want me to play? And they gave it all they had. But I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat, until the Knicks learn how to develop talent, we're going to see a repeat of what just happened tonight. They out of there 4-2. Because even though they professional athletes, they get tired. They get worn out. But even with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, even with all that said, the Knicks have to admit they had a good season this year. Only one team is winning the NBA championship. Only one. You made it down to the Final Four. You won 1 games for the second year in a row. You progressed from last year. So it's nothing to be ashamed about. You just decompose, like Tibbs said in the interview. And then you say, how do we take the next step next year? That's all you do. And I'm telling you how to take the next step. You have to develop that bench. Bronson had, 19? But he didn't have the greatest game in the world, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't have the greatest game in the world tonight. Cat, he didn't have the greatest game in the world. And he had, 23, 22, about 13, 14 rebounds. He was killing those boards. But when we sit him down, what do you have? Mitchell Robinson? And there's no knock to Mitchell because he will rebound, he will block, but he's not going to score like Bronson. Like Towns. He's not going to score like him. So you are taking a step backwards. This is how Towns just came in and took his spot. And then when Josh started playing so-so, what happened with him? You go sit down. Mitchell, you take that spot. The man might have been burnt out, ladies and gentlemen. One thing you can't accuse a Knicks team of is not playing hard. You cannot accuse a Knicks team for not playing hard. This is why I said at the top of the video, Knicks fans, say thank you to your team and move on. Because listen, I'm one of them guys, I listen to sports radio every day. And Monday when I go to work and I turn it on, I got to hear Knicks fans complaining. I got to hear Knicks fans being GMs. They got to fire Tibbs. Tibbs this. They got to do this. They got to do that. No, you guys got to learn how to be grateful. You guys got to say the last time we made it to the NBA Eastern Conference Finals was 2000. 2000, ladies and gentlemen, what Reggie Miller was playing at the time. That's the last time this organization made it. So they got to be thankful for some progression. Because like they say, Rome wasn't built in one day. Brick by brick. That's what you got to do. You got to build this thing brick by brick. The Knicks had a good season. They had a good season. Be thankful for what you had and move on. Last topic. Indiana versus OKC Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Indiana versus OKC Thursday. Who do you like? I like OKC. I'm giving them their first NBA championship. See, the difference between OKC and the New York Knicks, the main difference is they got a superstar over there. New York got all-stars. These guys got superstars. And they got some role players. They got some defense. And they're deeper than Indiana is. And Indiana, you see how Indiana was playing fast with New York? Oh, OKC with all that. OKC is with all that. You can play fast with OKC. They with that. New York can't afford to play fast because there's only 6 of them. OKC can play faster. But I'm gonna get back Thursday night. I'll be back Thursday night after the first game, maybe even doing a game, maybe talk and commentate the game as it goes on. Definitely be back Thursday. I want you guys to check out StreetSavvyMagazine.com. Please check it out. Please go read a few of our articles. Got some good stuff up there, ladies and gentlemen. Got some good stuff. And follow the channel. Like, subscribe, follow the channel. Help me grow, man. I'm a one-man army. So my man Skip come out of retirement. But for now, I'm a one-man army. Thank you guys for watching. This is my first live, ladies and gentlemen. First live. And I just appreciate the people who tuned in. Peace.